Will Smith is a world-class actor who has been in tons of movies like Independence Day, Men in Black, Wild, Wild West, and of course, his most iconic role yet, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith has made an incredible career for himself over the years. But sadly, some of his films weren't always as great as others. One of those being the 2001 movie, the original version of Aladdin. And while it might not be the worst movie ever made, it is by far one of the most forgettable movies ever made. Which is really sad because if there is one thing that we know about Will Smith, he could bring the heat. So what went wrong? Well, today we are taking a look back at the critically panned Aladdin and seeing if in another universe, maybe just maybe this movie was actually good. This is not clickbait. Today we are going to reimagine Aladdin, but with a cinematic universe approach. This means no cartoon animal sidekicks, no standout songs, and instead we are bringing the source material from the original book, The 1001 Nights or Arabian Nights. We are ditching the whole musical aspect and giving the streets of Agrabah a Game of Thrones style makeover. Imagine a gritty and realistic take on Aladdin that would make Michael Mann proud. Let's get started. To set the tone for this entire video, here's the original Aladdin trailer mashed up with the trailer for the dark fantasy epic, House of Sand and Fog. Okay, so first things first, the character of Aladdin. In our universe, we are keeping Will Smith for this role. However, we are getting rid of the 90s hip-hop twist to his character and making him more of a street urchin. Think Oliver Twist meets Slumdog Millionaire. Young, witty, and charming, Aladdin uses his smarts to survive in the unforgiving streets of Agrabah. He lives by his wits and has a small band of ragtag misfits that look up to him. They share food, stories, and dreams for a better life outside of Agrabah. Now, for Jafar, we want to keep the character as the Grand Vizier of Agrabah, but tweak his motivation for wanting to be the ruler of the city. Instead of stealing the lamp out of greed or power, Jafar wants the lamp to save his daughter who is dying of a rare disease. Now granted, this does take away Jafar's mustache-twirling evil villain status, but this will allow for a much more interesting story, and will hopefully give Jonathan Freeman, who played Jafar in the original, more to work with. Princess Jasmine is a bit of an enigma in both the original animated movie and the source material. In the book, she isn't even called Jasmine. She is referred to as the Princess of China, and in the original movie, she is basically a prisoner in her own palace. So for this reimagining, we want to expand on her character and make her a strong, independent woman who doesn't need a prince to save her. Think Khaleesi from Game of Thrones meets Arwen from Lord of the Rings. She is intelligent, compassionate, and isn't afraid to speak her mind. She feels suffocated by the rules and traditions of the palace and longs for freedom and adventure. And then there is the genie. In the Disney movie, the genie is portrayed as a goofy sidekick who is desperate to be free of the lamp and enter the human world. But in the original book, the genie is a lot different. In fact, it isn't even a genie, but a powerful elemental spirit bound to the lamp. The spirit is shape-shifting, immensely powerful, and very cunning. If Aladdin reps the lamp, he summons the spirit, who grants him 3 wishes without question. It's worth noting that in the book, the spirit is female. So maybe we can get a badass female character to balance out the other strong male characters in the film. The Cave of Wonders is also something that needs to be addressed. In the original movie, it's a bunch of singing treasure chests that try to kill Aladdin. But in the book, it's a talking treasure chest that acts as a sort of gatekeeper to the lamp. In our version, we are keeping the talking treasure chest, but we are expanding on its lore. Maybe it is an ancient construct left over from a forgotten civilization that once ruled over Agrabah. It is extremely powerful and dangerous, and will stop at nothing to protect the lamp. The city of Agrabah itself also needs a makeover. In the original movie, it looks like a Middle Eastern bazaar, but with a lot of Hollywood magic added in. But in the book, there is no mention of Agrabah being a desert city. In fact, the book doesn't specify where the story takes place. So let's give Agrabah a Game of Thrones style makeover. Imagine a sprawling medieval city surrounded by high walls, full of winding alleyways, bustling markets, and imposing towers. The city is a melting pot of different cultures and home to all kinds of people, from merchants to mystics, soldiers to scholars. But beneath the surface, there is a darker side to Agrabah with crime, poverty, and corruption running rampant in the shadows. Speaking of shadows, the visual style of our version of Aladdin will be heavily inspired by the paintings of Polish artist Zdzisław Beksiński. His art often depicts dark, surreal, and dreamlike scenes with twisted figures and unsettling imagery. It would be amazing to see this type of visual style translated into a film. As for the plot, we're sticking pretty closely to the original story from the book. After finding the lamp, Aladdin is granted 3 wishes by the spirit inside. He wishes to become a prince so he can marry Jasmine. However, Jafar, who also found the lamp, uses his 3 wishes to usurp the Sultan and become the new ruler of Agrabah. Aladdin, with the help of the spirit and a band of rebels, must now fight to overthrow Jafar and save Agrabah from tyranny. The action sequences in our version of Aladdin would be intense and brutal, reminiscent of the best fight scenes in movies like Kingdom of Heaven and Gladiator. There would be sword fights, chariot races, and battles between the royal army and Jafar's forces. But there would also be a lot of stealth and strategy involved as well, as Aladdin and his band of rebels would have to use their wits and cunning to outmaneuver Jafar's forces. One of the best parts of our version of Aladdin would be the world building. Agrabah is a fully realized city with its own history, culture, and society. The film would explore the politics, religion, and daily life in Agrabah and the surrounding areas. The audience would learn about the different factions and interest groups in the city and how they all work together to keep it running. Finally, the score for our version of Aladdin would be epic and sweeping, similar to the scores of movies like The Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. The music would blend traditional Arabic instruments with Western orchestral music to create a unique and memorable soundscape. So, what do you think? Would you watch this gritty Game of Thrones style Aladdin movie? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more cinematic universes. Until next time.